This episode brought to you by Overly Complicated Oil. Overly Complicated Oil gives your Automatrix the whiz-mackle zip-po struts with the gentle caress of flaming Jindowin foamutes that you need to keep driving for miles on end. Make sure your gadgets always wig-snickle methy-woo the flip-ons at the appropriate gyration with Overly Complicated Oil. Take advantage of our special 3.14195% discount by visiting our website 0c0.biz and make sure to enter capital FRRD884735 £, asterisk, period, wiggle thing above the tab button today before 3:21 Eastern Greenwich time to take advantage of this offer. Thanks. Hello, and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your schlubby hosts each week are Bryce Hanson, the cool collected nihilist, and David Day, a dude who fucks. The new theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm David Day.
I'm Bryce Hanson.
A dude who fucks. Visit our website, horrormovietalk.com, and click through our Amazon link to help us out. You know, that's up at the top right of the page. You know, you're going to be doing some Christmas shopping anyway. If you go and click that link on our website to get to Amazon, then everything you buy for the next 24 hours helps us out on the show. So do that. That'd be pretty neat. Also, check us out on social media. And, you know, we're pretty active on the Twitter and the Facebook. Not so much on the Insta, but, you know, we try.
We keep forgetting to take pictures when we go to see movies.
We're really bad. But
I even told David, like, remind me that we need to take a picture when we leave because we forgot to take one when we went in. And then we just left. There's
some subconscious thing going on there where it's like neither of us is too keen on looking at ourselves more than we have to. So we're probably maybe you'd like to see our ugly mugs. I don't know. I don't want to. So just going with that feel.
I mean, we've been kind of lazy recently on social media. We need to step it up.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, but also we don't want to that much.
We will. We promise.
If you send us a message, we would definitely respond to it almost immediately.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
But yeah, we're not building a bunch of content for social media.
Yeah. Also, if you guys are interested in streaming lots of horror movies for super cheap, you should check out Shudder at Shudder.com. They're like the Netflix for horror movies. They got a bunch of originals. They got a bunch of exclusives like the 2018's Mandy, which you can't get that anywhere else but Shudder. Mm-hmm. That's starring Nick Cage, and it's fucking insane. So you should, but the thing about Shudder is we have a promotional code through them. So if you sign up for an account, you get while using our HMT at checkout in the promotional code box, then you get a 30-day free trial instead of a 7-day free trial, and you get to help out the podcast. So go ahead and hit up Shudder. It's for a year subscription. It's only $50, so it's like $3 a month, and you can't beat that.
And even if it's month to month, it's only $5.
Yeah, it's super cheap, and it's got tons and tons of classic and cult horror movies on there.
And for this month, they have Black Christmas on Shudder.
Oh baby,
you want to watch that?
Oh baby,
for the Christmas season, we'll be doing a review of that this month as well.
Yeah, we should mention that this month is mostly a Christmas-themed horror month,
including this episode.
This episode is about Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. Remember Toby, the demon from the Paranormal Activity movies? He's back in this one, The Ghost Dimension, where he focuses on an entirely new family who bought a house that was built on the same site as the house from the third movie. All right, so these people bought a house. It is built on the location of where the third movie was. clear as crystal.
Yep. Got it.
The house. Okay, so like the house from the third movie burned down, and this is what's there now. This family has a child who's become the focus of the demon Toby. This movie was released in 2015, and it was the scariest thing of all. A 3D movie.
Was it?
Yes. So this explains.
Man, that explains so much.
Right. I knew that would be a point of realization for you. You'd be like, "Oh, that explains everything." Yeah. They took a good premise and they fucked it out pretty hard. And for that, I'm giving this movie a 5 out of 10. It is totally
5.
It is totally average. So I should explain our rating system. It's 1 to 10, and 5 is totally average. 10 is great. 1 is terrible. 5 is a very serviceable, just super average movie. This is a super average movie.
You gave this a 5.
Look, we just had this discussion off mic, which was I can't, in good conscience, because I've seen fucking horrible movies. I've seen Slender Man, you know? It's incomprehensible. It's as though you allowed the editing process to be done by a 3-year-old. And so this is, I understand what's happening. There's a lot of pretty decent jump scares. It ties back. The strongest thing this movie has going for it is it ties back. It does what all the Paranormal Activity movies do, and ties back into all the other ones pretty nicely. So those are the things.
I'll have opinions about that.
Those are the things that this movie does kind of okay, or at least average.
So we're going into scores right now. Yeah, I give it a 3. Like, this movie bothered me. Like, I was like, I think it's mostly because I enjoyed Paranormal Activity so much that it takes all of the things that worked with it and said, we don't need that anymore.
It really...
The audience wants something different.
It really takes that cross and turns it upside down.
And then all of the stuff that, through the series of Paranormal Activities, that's stuff that you don't really care about and doesn't really work that well for the style, doubles down on it and adds to it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when I think about Paranormal Activity, you know what I don't say to myself? My favorite part is the lore.
I mean,
like, that's not why people liked the movie.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But 3, though, I mean, it works a little bit.
It did work a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was somewhere to go. But as far as the series, it also works as an anthology very well. Of just use a completely different family. Like, it doesn't have to be connected.
Yeah.
Just use the concept of found footage, try to, like, justify why everything's filmed, and then show weird, creepy shit happened that, like...
That's actually creepy.
The neckbeard paranormal investigator would, like, cream their pants about, and then go into an actual movie at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I could be talked into a 4 on this movie. Let's put it that way. It's pretty weak 5 from me. But it is, to me, a 5.
Yeah, that's a 3 for me. It bothered me. I would not recommend seeing it. I'd say, like,
totally fair.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
This is the final installment so far in the Paranormal Activity series, and I believe there was some official mention made about this being like the last one. But I also think that the original creator, maybe the guy who wrote 2, 3, and 4. I can't really recall the name, but I think they're thinking about revisiting the franchise.
Well, I think the marked ones was supposed to be like a spin-off thing. I haven't seen it, so I don't even know what differentiates it about it.
It is as closely tied to the series as Ghost Dimension, which is to say, not very.
Okay,
but it does tie back into them. It actually ties back into the first one and the second one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even just reading, because it's been years since I've seen any of these movies, reading the Wikipedia entry on the Paranormal Activity series, like describing, it's just confusing trying to read the summary of it. Paranormal Activity 1, and then Paranormal Activity, which is a parallel sequel and prequel,
right?
And then 3 is a full prequel, and then 4 is
Ghost Dimension is a parallel sequel to the first one and the second one.
Yeah. 4 is the sequel to the second one.
Right.
And Ghost Dimension is it's like, this is just annoying. And
with that,
for all of them, it's not like the characters are notable or that the storyline of any of them, like, I can remember what the new developments in each movie was.
Katie is very notable. I'm in love with Katie.
Katie's great.
Be nice to her.
Right.
And Micah's pretty cool too, but I don't love Micah like I love Katie. You get what I'm saying. No, but the interesting thing about the Paranormal Activity series is 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Ghost Dimension. Pretty fucking good. Or not the Ghost Dimension. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the marked ones. All serviceable at least, and great at best.
Yeah.
But the Ghost Dimension is really a big old turd on the franchise name.
We jumped right into it. I do have the trailer if we want to play that.
Yeah, let's play the trailer.
He'll do. He'll do.
What are you doing in here?
He'll do.
Is she talking backwards? Is she saying Bloody Mary? What woke you up last night?
My friends.
Your friends? Katie and Christy. They lived here?
Our daughter is talking to ghosts.
This October. What is that? I must be from the people who used to live here.
This is so cool.
This camera can see things you cannot see with the naked eye.
I've heard of spirit photography, I've just never seen it in person.
Nothing you've seen.
Lee, is there someone in this room?
Nothing you've experienced. Leela's been playing with something that only she and this camera can see.
He's gonna take me away. Toby.
Can prepare you. What if someone conspired for us to be in this house? I called the agency. I'm looking at her card. Katie, they have no record that she ever worked there.
Leela?
For the final chapter.
This is no coincidence. This is part of a prophecy.
Of activity.
Here's Mary.
She's gonna have a special baby, just like me.
What's happening to her?
What if this is where Toby's gonna take Leela?
Leela, come play with me.
Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension, October 23rd, only in select theaters. Go to where'stheactivity.com to find a theater near you.
Very interesting.
That's interesting, because there's a bunch of shit in that trailer that I don't recall at all.
Yeah, and there was a second trailer that played after it that also had stuff in it that wasn't in the movie.
Maybe there was multiple. Oh, but we gotta go back and watch. See what if they have a bunch of different, like the way they did. What was that movie we watched that had multiple endings? It was Unfriended Dark Web.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What if they did that with this?
Ooh. Yeah.
That's.
The changes that I saw were just like. It looked like
Mary's gonna have a baby.
Yeah. It was that. Is not substantial. Well, actually, that one was probably more substantial. Was the prophecy that she was going to actually give birth to a baby? Because that didn't happen. And then the clip that I saw on the other trailer was much more. Well, we'll have to get into spoilers when we talk about that. But
I think we can probably transition into spoilers. Right, meow.
Right, meow.
If you guys don't want this average to terrible movie spoiled, then definitely don't listen to the spoiler.
If you've been waiting for 4 years or whatever it is. Spoilers.
So, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension, stars primarily a family of 3 joined by 2. All right? So we got the dad, Ryan, who's played by Chris J. Murray. The mom, Emily, who's played by Britt Shaw. And the 5-year-old, super creepy-looking little kid, Layla, played by Ivy George. I feel like Ivy George has a little bit of a Dakota Fanning thing going on, mixed with a little bit of, what's her face from The Exorcist?
Linda Blair.
Linda Blair. Yeah, she has a vibe about her that I don't particularly enjoy in a 5-year-old. So the movie starts out light and ends heavy, like most Paranormal Activities. The family who lives in a palatial house is being visited by their super sexy family friend, Skylar, who parades her jubblies around like they're everyone's business. Skylar is played by Olivia Taylor-Dudley. And the final...
Olivia Taylor-Jubbly.
They feature those things quite prominently, so we're not just being sexist pigs right here. So,
but not prominently enough,
right?
Some
might say. The final important cast member is Mike, Ryan's brother, who is fresh out of a long-term relationship and is also visiting the family during Christmas. Mike is played by Dan Gill. The way you know this is a Christmas movie is it takes place in a house with a Christmas tree in it.
Yep.
The end.
And there's the nativity at one point.
Right. Wait, what?
Well, I mean, in the trailer that we just listened to, that's what she was doing. I remember towards the end of the movie when she's like hammering on the, on the thing, she was playing with the nativity.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I remember where that came from. I was like, a person having a baby?
We're reviewing this movie as part of our special Christmas-themed series for December, and Christmas does not feature at all in this movie other than it being during that time.
There's a Christmas tree in the house. What are you talking about? It's a central focus of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in, I think they're in Santa Rosa.
Sure.
In this house. Ryan and his brother find a box outside while putting up Christmas lights. So they kind of just recently bought this house, and so they're going through. They got a lot of boxes, and so they're going through the boxes for the Christmas lights. Him and his brother, and they find a box full of VHS tapes and a souped up video recorder that would make Doc from Back to the Future jealous. This thing, they they take it apart to show how crazy it is, and it looks like the inside of one of those souped up gaming PCs. You know, it's got like fucking lights and like a bunch of. It's got extra tubes. You know, within and more tubes.
Normally, cameras have 3 of these tubes. This one has 6.
What?
To see more ghosts.
More ghosts.
These are the ghost tubes.
And this camcorder becomes the portal for the audience to see 3D shit. And God, is it boring shit. The 3D effects in this movie, it's like someone was learning how. It's like someone was making a really impressive. What do you call it for your? You have like a portfolio. It's like someone was making a portfolio reel with here are the impressive things I can do in 3D, and then like that, like all the weird effects that came from this movie are featured.
I mean, it's in terms of like using 3D, you know, in Avatar, it was notable for me, probably not because of the tech that was used to how much more realistic it was, but more the limited use of it. It was very much more atmospheric, and not like, look at this thing in your face.
Yeah.
And this goes back way back then, like old 50s horror movies that are in 3D. Like, it's all about jumping things into your face.
Right.
That's all we're using it for.
Or not even. Like, if it was jumping things into my face, I would go, oh, okay, this makes sense for a 3D movie. But a lot of the shit that's 3D in this is like, there's a haze, there's a fog that you step into all the time, and that's fucking dumb. Like, it's supposed to be scary and spooky, and it's just fog.
Right.
Like, it's just like dirt in the air.
Yeah.
And then there's another piece where, well, we'll get into this in a little bit here. I'm gonna keep running down a little bit of the summary of this. So also with this souped up camcorder, they find a bunch of VHS tapes, as I said, and the tapes reveal a good portion of the footage from the 80s movie, the Paranormal Activity 3, where the original sisters, Katie and Christy, were used by the cult present in the third and fourth movie to foretell the future and communicate with Toby. One of the many problems with this movie, as we're kind of leading into, is that it focuses too much on the boring 3D visual effects. There were quite a few visual effects that are just kind of cool to look at, but not as effective as a real person standing over their significant other for 3 hours in the middle of the night. You could have made a very effective movie if you just followed the formula from number one that worked.
Yeah.
Like, she gets up in the middle of the night, she stands over her husband for 3 hours, and it's horrifying because the concept is scary, not the visual of it. Not so scary.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It's such a bad idea.
Say what you need to say.
Like, I think even like the taglines for this, let me find.
Yeah, they're bad. I think I stole one of the taglines and altered it a little bit because it was so laughable.
Okay, here's yeah, this shows the disconnect between what worked with the first movie and what you want to accentuate
right
in preceding movies. The tagline for it is, "For the first time, you will see the activity."
Right. Which is...
Like, no.
That's exactly what worked about the movie. Sorry.
Don't show it.
Right.
Like, it's much more... Yeah, it's better to just let the viewer make up shit in their mind.
Yeah. Instead, we're given 3D fog...
and CG monsters.
There's some goop that shoots from the floor to the ceiling, and it's like black goopy demony shit.
Yeah.
And it's not scary, it's just goop.
This could have been a prequel to Venom, really.
Yeah. It looks like
the symbiote.
Yeah, it looks like the symbiote, only in a tube. Mm-hmm. Poop shoot tube. Mm-hmm. And then there's some demon figure that kind of zooms around so fast that you can't make out more than a blur of movement. It's the thing that zooms into the viewer's eyes in the 3D way that it does.
Very fast with very loud sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, they don't do a lot for Ghost Dimension. In fact, they really work against the movie very, very significantly.
And it's not even a ghost dimension. They don't talk anything about a dimension. If anything, it should be called the ghost hallway.
Yeah.
I don't
know that that's the ghost dimension. It would make sense. I mean, yeah, it probably is.
I mean, the goopy, like, underwater effects, like when he first uses the camera, that's probably the ghost dimension.
Yeah, I think the ghost dimension is what the camera allows you to see.
Well, is that just a more diluted version of the demon that eventually gets a little more solidified with the black goo stuff? Or is that an actual, like, rift in some kind of dimensional thing? Or
yeah, I don't know.
Like, watching it, overthinking it, that's the other thing, is like, you watch it and you're like, oh, okay, I think I know where they're going to go with this. And then they just don't use any of the possibilities that they could go with.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, we'll just use the cheapest thing.
Yeah.
The cheapest thing is cheap.
Yeah.
And we got these... We're spending a lot of money on 3D, so let's just have stuff jump out at the screen a lot.
And it's not even... So, the demon from 1 is never shown. It's hinted at a lot. So there's even one part where they, shit's getting real at night. They're being messed with heavily, and they know that there's a presence in the house, and so they put baby powder in the hallway. And at night, as you're watching the video recording of the whole thing, footsteps appear in the room because it stepped in the baby powder, and then it tracked the baby powder throughout. So this invisible thing, like, that was the most effective part of that movie for me, was like, oh, this thing's physical, it's just invisible. And so in this movie, I was like, so you get to see the demon, so maybe it'll be cool and have, maybe it'll be a thing. It wasn't. It was just goopy shit, or like fog, mist. Yeah. It was just fucking such a letdown.
It's just a bad idea to show it.
Yeah.
And it happened early and often too. Like that was part of the charm of the first movies, is that it took its time.
Yeah.
To ramp up. And this one is just like, all right, we're in a Paranormal Activity. Look, there's a camera. Oh, look, there's weird stuff happening. Whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
And then it just goes from there. Like, there's much more of a ramp up in the original ones, and a lot more doubt, and like, well, that could be anything, Yeah.
Another way that this movie didn't work very well was it ditched the stationary cameras. So instead of
right.
That worked really well for all the others.
Yeah, and then like that was one of the questions I had, is they never really even try to have a good explanation for why they're videotaping everything.
Right.
Like, it starts out with a prank video. You're like, okay, I get it. It's Christmas. Everyone's visiting. They're showing a video of them doing funny things. But there's no explanation. Like, the most that they do is there's like, apparently the father is like, he knows stuff about cameras. He's got like a cabinet that's full of camera paraphernalia and stuff. So
how convenient.
But that doesn't explain why he's videotaping everything, even before they like find the old camera that sees ghosts.
Right. In the first ones, the premise is they're usually stationary cameras. And if they're not, they're documenting this weird thing that's happening.
Right.
And furthermore, to pay more attention to this stationary camera thought, it worked because it was really kind of the first time that had been done in a found footage movie.
Yeah, and it was completely neutral.
It was totally neutral, and there's a sense of being beholden as the audience to being forced into watching these dreadful shots of a stationary frame, and all that happens, so 15 seconds, you're looking at a pool. And now your eyes looking around like, oh, there's a pool skimmer in the pool, it's moving around, and then something in the background moves, and you're like, oh. Yeah. And so then your brain gets trained during the course of the movie to be like, in every single one of these shots that they're just going to kind of like, they're going to show to me on a loop, there could be something moving, and now you're looking for it, and you're like, oh, this is dreadful. Oh, and it really does an effective job of ramping up the tension.
Yeah, and it's great because it works, it uses so little. Yeah. Because
you don't have to have anything.
Yeah, there's some points where it shows the feed and nothing happens, and you're like, oh, well, nothing happened that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Or just a little bit of wind blew, and blew the sheet up a little bit. It's like...
Yeah. The other part of that, in addition to the spoopy cameras, or stationary cameras, like, the most important feature of Paranormal Activity, the original one, was the sound design. The creepy, like, rumble...
Oh, yeah.
...that accompanies the presence of the ghost is used really effectively to communicate, like, dread.
Yeah.
And shit's about to go down, get ready. And sometimes that rumble comes, and it's like, yeah, a sheet, like a page from a book flips over, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's that spooky sound,
yeah.
It's that spooky rumble. Spooky rumble's back, and it's all used to communicate the presence of this paranormal activity. In this movie, it doesn't work because they don't understand what that is, because they just start using that rumble, and they cut between shots in different locations of the house, and the rumble's still there. It's like, no, it's like...
This is getting me worked up.
You're supposed to show... It works because it's stationary, and you're not seeing anything, but you're being communicated to that something is here.
Right.
And in this movie, it's just used as literal ambient sound to rumble and say, like, stuff is going on. It's like basically making the wall shake.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, I think what's happening right now is something that hasn't happened in this podcast yet, which is I'm moving my score down to a 4.
Yeah.
This is making me up. This is making me... The more I think about this, the more upset I'm getting. So as we're talking about like this, like I have the whole write-up prepared and everything. I'm changing my score to a 4 based on our talk about this because, yeah, this is really just annoying to me.
And then the stuff that they chose to do in addition, like with the camera, is this weird glitch CGI at the end. Like the instead of showing a neutral camera view of showing weird shit happening, like drawers actually opening and books actually falling down and weird stuff like moving, in the end, like the final part where everything's going down, it's all obviously CGI.
Yeah.
And it's made to look like it's a video glitch.
Yeah.
In the camera. And I'm like, what was that choice? Like, I don't understand. Wait, it fundamentally doesn't understand what works about this, about the series of the reality of it. It's tying it down to reality.
Right.
And it's literally making it look like a way that could not exist in reality, can only exist in a film or a computer.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, this is dumb.
That's very true.
And we haven't even talked about how terrible the writing was. I mean, not that the first ones were good, but it was pretty simple.
The interesting thing,
they did not like try to be more ambitious than the plot could give them, you know?
Right.
And like for me, for this movie, I was watching it like pirated on some random streaming site.
Whoa, no you didn't. You watched it totally.
I mean, I watched it. I watched a legal copy. I mean, as far as I know.
Yeah.
It was a website.
Right.
It's not my fault if they didn't pay licensing.
Okay.
And I was like doing other stuff, and usually I'm like, I should probably pay attention. But for this movie, it wasn't necessary because there's a lot of exposition about it. They just blatantly just tell you, like, so this is happening, and this is happening, and this is what this means. And it just does that a couple times, and that's one of my pet peeves is how lazily movies can handle exposition, because you can't do it in a more interesting way other than just telling the viewer what they're supposed to understand.
You want me to really nail a nail in the coffin right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to blow your mind with how right you are, which is the first Paranormal Activity had no script.
Right.
It had a loose script.
Right.
And Micah and Katie were allowed to just riff. And because they worked so well together, they were able to come up with really believable dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
They just had it, you know? Mm-hmm. They just had whatever it is that allows you to act really well together. And so there was no, like, word-for-word script almost at all.
Right.
And this one had that. And it was terrible.
Yeah. And it was obvious. Here's my the one that I had to write down.
You got some examples of how bad the writing is?
Yeah. One was, what's Bloody Mary?
Oh.
Like, are you really going to explain what Bloody Mary is?
The game that every person in America has played.
Yeah. Or at least understands what it is.
Yeah.
It's already cheap to use it in this movie because it's like just a cheap, ooh, this is spooky.
Yeah.
And it's not. Because it's, you know, there are movies made about Bloody Mary already.
Yeah.
And what Like, they didn't even try to tie it in, a reasoning for why, because it's just, oh, it's a spooky game that the kids play, and so now a ghost is here. The second one, my favorite, was, Father, what happened to her eyes, and why are they black?
Dear God. Dear God.
Well, you just answered it for yourself, and I don't know.
And I don't know.
And evil. I mean, are you not aware that we're battling a demon?
Yeah.
Like, you called in the priest because there's an evil demon in your house.
What's the purpose of that line?
Father, why is this weird thing happening?
Is it for the hearing impaired? Or is it for the visually impaired? Not the hearing impaired. Is it for people who can't see the movie? What's the purpose of putting that line in the movie?
Maybe, I don't know. That's so weird.
Because it was green. Because
You know what would have been better? Her eyes turned black.
Yeah.
Just say it. That would be better than saying, what happened to her eyes? And why are they black?
Also, let's negate this sentence. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it was painful, some of the exposition and just some of the reactions. And, I mean, it's a thing that some of these found footage movies suffer from is they set up the premise and force themselves into a corner to make the reactions to the happenings unrealistic. And this is an excellent example of that. Of like, hey, look, I have a videotape of something that's never been seen before and proves the existence of ghosts. And then the other person goes, you're being crazy. Like, no, really. You notice how stuff is moving off the walls and there was an evil presence trying to kill you? I got a videotape of it. You and your hobbies.
Yeah. This is irrefutable, bitch. Would you take 2 seconds and look at this?
It's like, what? Why? Yeah, so some of that stuff of just the reactions to it, and they're like,
yeah,
all right, try to base it in reality in some way. If you're trying to use found footage as your format,
yeah,
that's other than doing that, it's just a shitty movie.
Yeah,
it's just a really shitty script and a cheaply made movie if you don't try to make it seem real.
So
with the characters and the dialogue and all that stuff.
As I'm thinking back to it, because I watched the marked ones. I watched the fifth. So Ghost Dimension is the sixth iteration in the franchise, and the marked ones is the fifth. And I watched that recently as well. And I'm realizing that the marked ones had a lot of the same issues. Like they ditched the stationary cameras and a lot of the audio cues, but it still worked pretty well. It was still a pretty decent movie because you cared about the characters,
right?
And the writing was good,
yeah.
And it was legitimately spooky. This one is by far the worst in the series. Let's see here. Here's some of the stuff that I feel that Ghost Dimension did a good job with. It did a good job on capitalizing on the story of the paranormal movies, right? So it's eerie to see how the VHS tapes refer to the family in real time. So this family's watching. They find this box of VHS tapes, and they're like, Matt and his brother are watching. Ryan and Matt are watching them, and this little girl in the tape, who's Katie or Kristen or Christy or whatever from the first movies, in the 80s, is narrating what they're doing right now. Mm-hmm. She's saying, "Oh, and one of them sneezed, like a bless you," and right after he sneezes, and like that's a premise that would make me shit my fucking pants,
right?
Like, if you're watching a video from the 80s and the video is narrating your life, that's upsetting. And it, that gave me chills. And
it's an interesting concept, and then it completely jumps the shark when they send the current girl back in time to the 80s.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what was the benefit of that?
Well,
we just needed to connect it more.
No.
Like, I don't... Yeah.
No. No, wait, why did she go? I mean, because that's where the things happened. That's where the Witch's Coven was. So in order to... But
Right,
the
so
movie was already done.
That doesn't...
We needed to get back to the 80s. We got to go back to the future.
We got to go back to the future.
Holy shit.
It is Back to the Future.
This is the Back to the Future of the...
Ghost Dimension.
Of the
Yeah,
paranormal activities.
Yeah. Why couldn't the demon find another little girl in the 80s? There's lots of little girls in the 80s. Why wait 30 or 40 years? Like, if I was a demon and wanted to
If you're a demon...
be reincarnated, personally, I wouldn't be that patient. I'd want to make it happen.
Patient? Demons don't experience linear time. Are you fucking crazy?
Plus, in the ending of the movie, the demon gets reincarnated in the 80s. So why would Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 4 need to exist?
Like I said,
If the demon already...
demons don't experience linear time. Time is just a construct of your mind.
No,
man.
but he's like a real thing now. He's like a corporeal
Being
person
thing.
at the end of the movie, and he steps into frame, and you're like, oh no, he's real. He's in our world now.
He's got no face.
He's got no face. He had no face.
What? What?
Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense. See, that's my thing. Is like, yes, it's kind of interesting how they tie the movies together. But if there's any series that would not need to do that and just risks creating more problems than they need to, is the Paranormal Activity series. Like I said, I don't care about the lore of Paranormal Activities. I like the premise and the execution of it.
Yeah, that's very true. And
You could just repeat it, make little tweaks, use a different family.
it would still work very
Use
well.
different personalities.
Yeah.
Same situation. Different endings. And you could make these in perpetuity.
Yeah.
But no, they're like, no, we gotta stick with these particular characters.
Let's fuck this out real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I appreciate this movie because it did a historic thing for our podcast. It allowed us to change our opinions on the fly. Mm-hmm. I moved my score from a 5 to a 4, which I think is important to do. I think it's important to be able to, reevaluate honestly. Like, once you make a realization, you don't stick to your guns and keep saying you're right over and over again. You admit you were wrong and you move on. Mm-hmm. And then you move forward, being a better person, which is what this podcast is about. So thank you, Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension. You've made us both better people. We're better for having watched you.
Even though we wish we never did.
So one part I didn't realize I had printed our script double-sided, and so I skipped a big portion of the show. Not a huge portion, just kind of the intro. So I'm going to go back in time right now.
Oh, you can just say what we're doing next.
Okay, what we're doing next is we're going to be doing two bits. Taglines, which is a bit where we write new taglines for the movie that are more apropos to, maybe what we think should have been the tagline. And then we'll also be doing Lifetime movie or horror movie, which is a fun game where I read the description of Lifetime movies and horror movies, and Bryce has to figure out which it is. So, without further ado, we will be doing taglines. Here's taglines. You go first.
Paranormal Activity, Ghost Dimension. What's Bloody Mary, though?
What is she?
What is that?
Explain. You can't explain that. Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension. This camcorder can hit 88 miles per hour.
Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension. There, look, there's the demon. See, look, there he is. You get to see him. Happy now?
Happy? No. No. Now. So this one is a ripoff of the actual tagline,
okay,
but just amended.
Okay.
For the first time, you will see the activity. You'll wish you didn't. No, really. You really wish you won't. Didn't see that activity.
Yeah. Paranormal Activity. This is another tongue mealy mouth one. Paranormal.
We're very
Paranormal Activity goes to mention.
Activity.
Just like Paranormal Activity, just without the stuff that works.
Just a movie that you put in your into your VHS player. Watch it. Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension. From the people that brought you Paranormal Activity and Paranormal Activity 2 and Paranormal Activity 3 and Paranormal Activity the marked ones and Paranormal Activity 4, we bring you Paranormal Activity, the shitty one.
Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension. Why are we filming everything? I don't know. It's Christmas. Don't overthink it.
Shut up. I like it. Don't overthink it. And that was taglines.
Taglines.
Next, we're going to be moving into Lifetime Movie or Horror Movie.
Before we get into this, I just realized, like, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is how many missed opportunities there were in this movie.
Go on.
Of just explaining things or exploring things that just weren't. Like, so this friend of the family, the hot one, first of all, I never quite understood what her relation to the story was or why she was there.
To be the hot one.
But she, like, alludes to, like, feng shui and new age stuff.
It's pronounced feng shui.
Okay. And saying, you know, she can change the energy of an environment, like, and you would assume, like, oh yeah, they're going to use that. She's going to try to do something that's going to fail horribly or something. They just do nothing. They just choose not to do anything. They just do the most generic, like, let's call in a priest. And then the priest comes in, and I thought, like, they're spreading holy water and stuff on the floor, and then it shows, like, the night view or something, and then the water on the floor is in the shape of a pentagram or something. And I'm like, oh shit, they're doing it to where the priest is actually, like, the demonic priest, and he's, like, helping them. Like, no, he's just actually just a priest.
Nah, this is just the thing I do. I like to draw stars
He's just
with circles around them.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
He gets bit.
He gets bit by a little girl, and then...
Get that spider away from me. I don't want to get bit.
Anyways. What a dumb movie.
Oh, he's so angry.
Dumb movie.
God damn it.
Okay, so Lifetime movie or horror movie. Sorry. Continue.
This is a bit where I read the descriptions of some movies. They're either Lifetime movies, which is a channel with a primarily female audience, or a description of a horror movie. And Bryce has to guess if it's a Lifetime movie or a horror movie. As it turns out, the descriptions are not far apart. All right, so here we go. This is a long first one, so bear with me here. A young mother suffers her worst nightmare, the drowning of her young daughter. 2 years later, Jamie gives birth to another girl. After a series of suspicious accidents, Jamie becomes haunted by fears that her dead daughter's vengeful spirit has returned in the new baby. Is she right? Or is guilt over her daughter's death pushing her sanity over the edge? Is that a Lifetime movie or is that a horror movie?
I mean, that's like both, but I think it's a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is Hush Little Baby, a Lifetime original movie.
Yeah. And that one sounded familiar, so I might have had that one on my list at some time. So.
I was worried about that because this is a bit that Bryce dreamt up, and so he's been over quite a few Lifetime movie descriptions.
Yeah,
which I don't expect Bryce to do poorly on this.
We'll see.
We'll see.
It's hard. I mean, it
is hard. It's hard because basically it's almost indiscernible.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have easily been either, right?
Yeah, right.
There's just little hints, and sometimes there isn't even little hints.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Rebecca must unlock the terror behind her little brother's experiences that once tested her sanity, bringing her face to face with a supernatural spirit attached to their mother. Is that a Lifetime movie? Or is that a horror movie?
That's a horror movie.
What? How'd you know? That's Lights Out from 2016. That's Lights Out was a big one.
Because there's nothing about a divorce. And there's nothing about...
It's about Rebecca.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Just felt... Didn't feel Lifetime enough for me.
Well, your women's intuition really kicked in there.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our third one. So Bryce is 2 for 2 so far. Restaurant hostess and mom, Joanne Sanders, has to work late one night. After she leaves the restaurant, she accidentally cuts a car off on the highway. This driver takes it personally, and he begins to stalk and harass Joanne. That sounds an awful lot.
That sounds... I mean, I gotta say Lifetime movie.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Yeah.
Damn it.
That's a deadly encounter. That's a Lifetime movie.
Yeah. I wanted it to not be. But yeah, that sounds like very much a Lifetime movie.
I'm not as good at picking these as you are. Or maybe you're just really good.
The trick is finding the horror movies that are based around domestic violence.
I did around domestic violence.
Or based around like specific, like the one that you chose was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like based around home life and like relationships. And then choosing the Lifetime movies that are as close to horror as possible.
Mm-hmm. Stereotypes exist for a reason.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bryce is 3 for 3? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got 2 more. Okay. A couple adopt an orphan child whose dreams and nightmares manifest physically as he sleeps.
That's it?
That's the whole description.
I'll say horror movie.
You're going with horror.
Yeah.
You're correct. 4 for 4.
I mean, you do really good at these too. Like it's only like 1 or 2 that I throw you off on.
That's Before I Wake from 2016. Damn, Bryce is on a roll. Okay,
last one.
Let's see if we can stump him with this last one here. A group of scientists band together to save the world from mutated killer tomatoes.
Is one of the tomatoes divorced or divorcee?
I don't know. That's all it says.
Is there any domestic violence that happens with the tomatoes?
I can't be sure. I'm sure there's some intrigue.
I'm going to say horror movie.
No, I'm sorry. That's a Lifetime movie.
Damn it. Broke my streak.
Yes, you're right. It's called Return to Alice's Restaurant. Okay. No, that's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Nice.
which has become somewhat of a recurring theme with me. I like that movie a lot. So that was a Lifetime movie or horror movie. So to wrap up, I forgot to.
What if we learned?
I'd like to do the final recommendations on who would like Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. Look, if you enjoy the Paranormal Activity series in excessive amount, it's worth a watch. Just to appreciate how good the other ones are.
Mm-hmm. If you are completist of series,
Right.
You will watch it and you won't enjoy it.
It ties into the movie that many people cite as being the best in the Paranormal Activity franchise, which is Paranormal 3. And it ties directly into 3. So if you're looking to impress someone with your impeccable found footage taste, don't start with Ghost Dimension for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't even recommend it. It's just not even a good movie. I can't imagine who would really like this movie.
Yeah.
There must be someone, but
you know, it's got a couple decent jump scares in it, and if your friends are real jumpy and you just like to watch them jump around, then
as with most of these movies, the experience is probably much better in the theater. And this one, since it's in 3D, like that's probably you missed the boat if you didn't see it in the theater. If you were going to like anything about it,
you could have seen glorious 3D gloop.
Yeah,
but you can't now. So
hard meh.
I can't believe they're still producing movies in 3D. I thought it would be gone the way of the dodo by now, but people must fucking love that shit.
Well, the studios love it because they can charge more for tickets. That's
yeah, but everybody hates it. I mean, I guess not. Maybe they don't. Maybe some people are like, fucking 3D, bro! Woo! Woo! 3D! Ow! Like, it's so strange to me.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
So with that, that's our episode. If you're still sticking around, thanks for listening. Share us with a friend if you can. That helps us out a lot. We are looking to grow, and we're doing pretty good at it right now, but we can't grow unless you share. So please do so. Rate us on iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere you listen to us. As we said at the start of the show, we joined the Amazon Associates program, which means that all your Christmas shopping can go to help us if you just use the link at the top of our website, horrormovietalk.com. There's a link at the top right, and you use that to get to Amazon and then do your shopping. And that's all you got to do.
You don't even have to buy anything from the page that we link to. You can buy anything you want once you land on that page. You just have to click through that link. And hey, if you want to really help us out, click through that link and then bookmark it, and then use that bookmark as your portal into Amazon. That'll let us whet our hungry beaks.
Help to support the pod. Also, remember to check out Shudder at shudder.com. It's the Netflix for horror movies. And if you enter our promo code HMT at checkout, you get 30-day free trial of Shudder, which is better than what they normally give you, which is a 7-day free trial. And they got a bunch of exclusives on there that you should check out because they're really, really good. And, you know, I mean, they got a ton of cult classics, a ton of legit horror movies. Like, I think Halloween 4 and 5 are on there. There's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Joe Bob Briggs series is back, and his original series is there for streaming. There's a bunch of fun stuff on there, so you guys should check it out. Enter HMT at checkout. Also, take our audience survey if you like. Help us figure out what our audience is like, what you're like, and what you do and don't like about the show. That's at the top banner of our website at horrormovietalk.com. So without further ado, thank you very much for listening, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.